G'day, welcome to a video on how to iron an Australian DPCU shirt. If you haven't seen my previous video on how to set up your ironing station, please watch that first. It'll give you some foundations and some techniques you need before you actually start ironing. So the first thing we need to do with the setting up our some preliminaries before we commence ironing our DPCU shirt is make sure that we have our name on it. Now when we name our shirt, good places to do that are actually on the label here or on the inside of the shirt here, so it won't actually become transparent and come through on the other side. To do it on the double stitching, place your name and also the set number. And we're going to call this set number Foxtrot. Also, before we start ironing, we just check for threads. So notice that we've got a thread here, so we can get rid of that. We'll use the lighter method. You can use clippers or nail scissors for that. And we just undo all of the pockets on the side and also the Velcro tabs on the sleeves. And so once we've done that, we're ready then to start ironing. Okay, make sure that the iron is clean, ready to go. And just a disclaimer as well, the Army Dress Manual does state don't use starch on the uniforms, on the DPCU uniforms, so we're not going to do that. We do use water and steam, and that'll get all the wrinkles out. So here we go for the first part. I use a systematic approach when I iron a DPCU shirt. You follow this technique, it's very quick. You work it up one side of the ironing board, you're rotating it through, and it gets the job done very quick. The first thing that we do before we do anything else is we line out the shirt so the collar is nice and flat. And you can see what I'm going to do today is just to speed everything up. This is a really well worn shirt. I've left it wrapped up so it's got a lot of wrinkles in it, just to demonstrate the good techniques that we use to iron to get rid of the wrinkles. And I'm only going to iron one side of the shirt just to demonstrate. Then you can see the difference between what the wrinkles are and where the good techniques you use to get rid of the wrinkles on the other side. So the systematic approach, first thing that you do is line the shirt out, iron the collar flat. Just go over the collar like so. The good technique to use is to iron and then spray. I'm just using water here so the garment is damp. And once that's soaked in just a little bit, then we go over and iron it again. So I'm using a steam station, and this is, if you can afford it, is the best iron to use when ironing uniforms. We just iron until all of the water is dissipated, and then we're left with a nice flat and wrinkle-free surface. Okay, that's the collar done. Okay, we'll go on now with the sleeves. With the sleeves we have these pockets on the sleeves. So what we need to do there is we unbutton it and we place it down so the buttons are no longer fastened. If you leave them fastened and try and iron it, you get the imprints of the buttons come through the garment and it looks unprofessional, so don't do that. Grab the pocket, place it down nice and flat, then iron around. Do not iron onto the hook and pile patches here. If you do that, it ceases to become a hook and pile patch. It'll just be some sort of weird plastic or material, and it won't actually stick your badges onto it. So iron around it. Once again, the technique that we use is we iron and then we spray. And then we iron again. Okay, using the steam station, steam setting on the iron, make sure that it's a medium setting. The uniform is a cotton polyester blend, so you can go relatively high, but keep it around a medium to high setting. Okay, once we're happy with that, we then move on and do the rest of the pocket on the sleeve. To do that, we make sure that once again it's nice and flat on the ironing board. We make sure that it's flat by going over it with our hand and rubbing it through. We don't want any bunching up of the material to occur. We want it to be nice and flat. Okay, so once we're happy with the surface there, we've just given that the rub over the hand once again with the iron. So we iron, and then we spray. And then we iron again. Okay, steam and a damp surface and get rid of all of those wrinkles. Okay, once you have ironed your shirt a few times, it'll actually become easier, and the material seems to get trained and responds much better. So happy with that. And then we go on to do the remainder of the sleeve. So I place that down onto the ironing board like so. Make sure that the cuffs are undone so it doesn't bunch up the sleeve. Okay, what that does is it gets rid of all these seams. All these seams here, if you fold it, if you iron it the other way, if you use that same technique on the sleeve down there, that seam will tend to just come through. So we're doing it like this. Make sure it's nice and flat before we commence. Once again we iron, and don't go pressing down on that. You create a seam, you don't create creases on DPCUs. So I'm just ironing around. Once again we do that, the iron, spray, and then iron again. Okay, we just keep applying the iron to the fabric until most of the water is dissipated. And you're happy with there's no wrinkles on the sleeve. So we then apply the same technique to the other sleeve. I'm only going to show you how to do one because it just speed up the process. You do one sleeve, you can do the other. Right, so working systematically, once we've done the front of the flat of the collar, and then we've done the sleeves, we then do the yoke. So this bit right at the back of the shirt here, we're doing this part here, and we just rotate it through. So working systematically, we place the shirt down, make sure it's nice and flat. Then we iron. Then we spray where necessary, and then iron again. It's important to do the yoke. It's one of those areas of the shirt that you need to do separately. It's a little bit hard to do in one hit any other time. And once we've done that, we then move on and do the other side. So once again, lining it all up so it's nice and flat. Okay, and we just check to see if we need to add any water. If there's any wrinkles there, we probably will. It's looking pretty good. So once we've done the yoke, then we can move on and do the front of the shirt, utilising the collar and the actual front body of the shirt as well. We do need to train the collar. If it's a very new shirt, then we go on and use that technique. Otherwise, we'll just go straight into ironing the front of the shirt. Okay, on with the collar. Okay, this technique, you use this technique here if you've just got a brand new set of cams and you want to get the collar sorted before you move on to ironing the rest of it. So take a bit of time to do it properly, and then every other time that you iron it, you're set up for success. So we want to make sure that we have the collar positioned correctly. And the best way to do this, you see on the inside of the shirt, we have a double stitching area here. Where it actually stops, that's where you commence the collar. So you make sure the collar's nice and flat in that area there, and you do the same on the other side. So you don't want this part of the collar to be outside of that angle there. So you line them up, and as you've got a new shirt, it'll be really stiff and hard to do. So the best thing that you do is you hold it into place, grab the iron, and then just go over it like so. Okay, until you're happy with the angle. And once you are happy with it, like the technique that we've used previously, you iron, and then you spray, and then you iron again. Now, as I said previously, the Army Dress Manual prohibits the use of starch on a DPCU shirt. However, if you were going to use some starch on and it accidentally got onto your shirt, this would be the perfect place to use it when you're training your collar. Set yourself up for success. Now on the other side we do the same. You can see that if you iron over the button, it'll come through. There's a mark there on the button. So what you can do is actually go in and remove that button, then you'll never have that problem ever again. Or the other way is just to iron around it like so, and just take care to do that. Do it on the other side on the collar itself. So you really only need to do this part, this technique, when you're training the collar on the new set. Otherwise I'll show you how to just generally iron your cam on the next part. Right, so there you go, training your collar. We'll move on with now just ironing your shirt in general. Same sort of technique, but it'll be a little... Right, so here we'll go on with ironing the collar. If we don't need to train it, it's on a new set of cams, and we can just use this technique here. So what we do is we lie the body of the shirt down, we line the seam, the shoulder seam here up, so we have a nice flat working area. We make sure there's no wrinkles coming through, and the shirt itself is slightly offset, but we're going to iron the rest of the shirt in a separate stage. So collar first, using the same technique as we iron. And then we spray, and then we iron again. So the good thing about a steam station, it produces a lot of steam, really good for wrinkles, and I quite often don't even use water. So as you're ironing, you can see that once the wrinkles are gone, then the wrinkles are gone. You just move on. So you apply a bit of firm pressure when you get up to these areas with the collar to keep it nice and well trained, so it behaves like a nice collar should. Okay, so once we've done the collar, we then move on for the rest of the front of the shirt, and we just position it. So we line it up, we're doing the whole, make sure this seam here is running down just on the inside of the board there. Everything's nice and flat. We've already ironed this place up here, so we don't need to worry about that too much. And once again we iron. And then if necessary, use a little bit of water. So don't worry about this is stains here, this is a very old shirt, it's going to be a really training shirt. And then iron again. And keep ironing until the water, most of the water is dissipated and the wrinkles have gone. Okay, and if you're using a really good steam station, this process doesn't take long at all. Okay, when you come up to these little fiddly bits of the shirt, okay, around the zipper, okay, just make sure it's all still nice and flat, and always just apply a bit of pressure to keep the actual surface flat, so you're not actually creating wrinkles, you're actually getting rid of them. Now with the zipper, I've got the zipper up the top there. If you need to iron the top part of the pocket, just move the zipper down to the bottom so you can get up and place the iron on there, and the indentation of the zipper is not going to show through. Alright, so once we're happy with that part of the shirt, we then start to do the back. So we just rotate the shirt. Okay, we're now doing the back part of the shirt. Okay, we've done the yoke already, so I don't need to worry about that. So we just line up the shirt. So this seam here is running down the outside of the ironing board. And make sure it's nice and flat. Grab the iron and start ironing. Okay, remember to add a little bit of pressure on the garment to make sure that there's no just tension away from the top of the ironing board, so it's nice and flat and you're getting all the wrinkles out. Okay, using the steam iron, you can see that we really don't need to use any water on that. If we did, we'd give it a quick spray and then iron it again. Then we just rotate the shirt to do the other half. And then we've already done the yoke, so we don't have to worry too much about that. And we just position the shirt so we can get the whole part of the shirt done. Just by using the square end of the ironing board, we're not mucking around and changing to ironing up that end and that end. Just rotating it through. And using the steam, ironing through. Once again, if there were wrinkles that the steam wasn't getting rid of, we give it a spray of water, and then we iron over the top of that. Okay, there's a wrinkle there I don't want to get out. Give it a quick spray, iron over the top of that until all the water dissipates. Once the water dissipates, it usually takes the wrinkles with it, and you're good to move on. Right, so we've done the back of the shirt, and then if we were going to continue on and do the other front of the shirt, then we'd just rotate the shirt like so and repeat the first steps that we did on the shirt at the start. So we'd line up the collar, we'd iron that, then we'd move over, line up the shirt again, make sure that it's nice and straight and flat, and then iron that. Okay, and that's pretty much the last part of the shirt that you've done then. The last part that we'll do, as we're on with now, is the actual consolidation. Make sure that we've got everything and we're happy with the state of the shirt, and we'll go on. Okay, moving on to the consolidation stage of our ironing. Okay, we've placed the ironing, the shirt onto our coat hanger. Would then go through and make sure that we've done up all the buttons. Leave the sleeves undone until you actually wear them. You don't want to bunch it up. We do a final check to make sure that we have no threads on it. Okay, if we do have threads, then we just get rid of them. And the good thing about using a steam station is if you do notice some light wrinkles, you can use it as a steamer and actually use the steam to get rid of any wrinkles that you may see, rather than trying to iron the whole shirt once again. So there we go. Make sure all the buttons, all the zippers are done up, to do all the zips up, so that you know when you wear it, you're going to walk out the door, you're going to look good, you're going to feel good, you've got a really well ironed shirt. Thanks for viewing. I'm going to consolidate all of these in a PowerPoint slide. All the points will be there as a conclusion. You can go through and tick them off as you need to. And once again, if you've got any comments, place them down into the comments section below, and I'll get through and answer those as required. Thanks for your time. Okay, welcome to the How to Iron an Australian DPCU Shirt summary slide. Do your prelims first, so name your DPCUs and give them a set number. Undo the sleeves and the pockets, and that'll just set you up so you don't muck around with it too much while you're ironing it. Make sure you've got the iron set for the garment itself, and if you need some refresher on how to set up your station, please refer to my previous videos on that subject. So I use a systematic approach when I iron. I only use the one end of the ironing board. The first thing that we do is we iron the collar nice and flat. Then we move on and do the sleeves. Remember, don't apply any of the iron to the hook and pole patches. We work on the yoke. Once we've done the yoke, we flip it over, then we do the front, concentrating on the collar, and then the shirt front itself. And you need to line the shirt when you do the collar, and then realign it when you do the actual shirt front. Once again, use water spray if the steam is not working for you. Use water. We then do the back of the shirt, do both sides of the back of the shirt, and then we move on and do the other half of the shirt on the front, once again doing the collar and the shirt front itself. Once again, using the technique of iron, water spray, and then iron again. The last thing we do is we consolidate the shirt. We hang it up on a good quality hanger. We fasten up all of the buttons and the zips, so the buttons on the sleeve pockets and the zips on the front pockets themselves. The good thing about using a steam station is that we can then use a steam to get rid of any of the wrinkles that we've acquired while handling the shirt while we're hanging it up or moving it from the ironing board to the hanger. Once we've done that, we're good to go, and we look good and we feel good and we are professional. Thanks for your time.